So you guys, I'm just so excited for this next performer that we have on here. Oh, they can't see your face yet because I
Oh
think
no,
the
I was
video's
trying
on
to interrupt you.
me.
I was
But
interrupting you,
it
but I was
worked.
trying to
You totally interrupted me.
put that in a
You
bad way. Okay.
you
Keep going. You were
interrupted
doing
me.
really well. You were doing really well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot that you believe in me. Okay, you guys. So if you can't tell, this is going to be a fun interview. It's already fun. He's super fun. So yes. So the next performer that we have on here, performer extraordinaire, circus guy. He said I could call him a circus guy. I met him when he was doing juggling. I had no idea all the other amazing things that he does, but just fun, very talented. He also, if you saw Australia's Got Talent, he got a golden buzzer. What? Golden buzzer. I watched that video. It was so much fun. The link is going to be here. So you guys are going to want to check it out if you haven't already seen it. So I'm just excited to have him share his story, some of the things that he's learned, and, wisdom as well as lots of Chuka Chuks. That was a very bad joke on my part, you guys. But
That's good.
you'll see how it tied in. So he's still here for it. So that's important, you guys. Please give a warm welcome to Joel Salom.
It's always weird getting a warm welcome from no one, isn't it? I just gave myself a little warm
I know.
welcome to try and ease the transition.
It's just beautiful because I often call myself out on that because I do say it as if I'm talking to a live studio audience and I
Yeah.
can hear them clapping.
You need a little. Have you got a button? Maybe you can have a button.
I
Oh, you've got a
could.
keyboard there. I can see a keyboard.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I want to hear a little. Please welcome. Bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum. That's the circus in me.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I need to incorporate that in. So,
Get on it,
yeah. So,
as they say
on it to be
in
gotten.
America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So you may have noticed his accent, you guys. He's from Boston. Better than apples. so, so are you in Australia right now?
I am. I'm in Melbourne, and it's cold. I live in northern New South Wales, which is near Byron Bay, which is near the Gold Coast, which is above Sydney, which is below Brisbane, which is the east of Darwin. And it's on the coast. I live in a very small town, and there's a beach, and there's a beautiful picture house, a restored old cinema that's been turned into a cabaret venue that is more fabulous than the town can really handle. I mean, no, they rise to the occasion, and it's like this gateway actually to Zinzani, which is the company that Samantha and I used to work for in Seattle. This amazing cabaret show, and this, oh my God, I'm just so lucky to live where I live.
Seriously, I could see
Yeah,
tourism just like skyrocketing with that introduction there. I mean, not
yeah,
like it had an issue for tourism, but it just sounds so picturesque.
yeah. It's pretty beautiful. It kind of makes you sick a little bit, like where you throw up in your mouth a little bit, where you go, oh, it's so beautiful. Like it's really beautiful.
Oh, wow. I haven't experienced that yet, but I'm going to be on the lookout for it. So thank you for that.
You've never experienced that before? No, I
No,
think people. Oh
I
wow!
I
Just
think I
sometimes,
normally do like tear up or something if it's so beautiful, but
yeah. I think it's connected. The tear duct and that little sensor down here is oh beautiful.
mm, mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
maybe
Well,
once.
if you
Do you
listeners have
have
experienced
kids?
that, let us know. Let us know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Uh,
That reaction.
that reflex so, or what? Yeah, I'm clearly
Reflux.
not a doctor. I don't know. Um.
Reset.
so, all right. So I guess I will just start at this fact. So you've performed in over 30 countries.
Yes, like it sounds illogical or impossible, I'm pretty sure. Like I did the math, and you throw that on the bio, but it's definitely. I did a lot of Europe, and then I've done a lot of Asia, and Europe. There's about 30 countries in Seattle. Like I
Right, right.
love Europe.
That's awesome. So when you're performing, do you like have a few specific acts that you do, or does it really vary like country to country, the kinds of things that you do or that they ask for?
I pretty much bash out the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over again, but in a really fresh and fun way. But essentially, it is different, and there's stuff with the audience, and there's improvising, and there's all that sort of stuff. And Erik the dog, who's the robot dog that I built, he's the golden buzzer guy, and he's just always, I mean, that's just always different, and a lot of improvising and stuff. But and then you just pitch it slightly differently. Obviously, in America you don't swear. I was so surprised how conservative America was for language. Because in Australia we don't give a fuck, but like in America it was like,
My dog is censoring your language right now.
oh my
I
god,
think he heard that through my headphones.
that was like a hound of hell, a little cute hound. Oh, you can't swear. Yeah, we went to America. So in America, that's where you are. I was in 42nd Street, on 42nd Street, in a theater with Circus Oz, and it was, I mean, you just go, for me, the idea of 42nd Street just sounds like the most liberal
Right.
kind of context ever. And Erik the dog used to come on after the Flying Trapeze Act, and the end of the Flying Trapeze Act, the whole piece would collapse out of the ceiling. It would fall out of the ceiling, and it was like this huge rigging gag that was, it would just bring the house down almost literally every night. And then as everything came to a grinding halt, then little Erik the dog would go and run out onto the front of the stage and go, what the hell was that all about? And it was just funny. It was just funny every time. But then we got there and they said, oh, no, you can't say hell.
Really?
He wasn't allowed to say, what the hell was that? What the hell is that all about? And what the heck was that all about?
Were like children at the show? Because that's
it was a family.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, that's one of the words that normally doesn't get censored. So
yeah, it was a family show, but still,
yeah.
What the hell was that all about? It was like, wow. But in Australia, even for kids, I mean, you say a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I'm curious. I think it's interesting, like how the act had to kind of like change a little bit for different countries, just their, I don't know, however they're socialized there. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also in Europe, there's less English, obviously, and which I just loved, because I have to come in when I first went to Europe when I was 21, about 400 years ago, and I was used to being like, I'd only performed pretty much in Australia, and in Australia maybe a bit similar, but not really to America, where on the street anyway, they like stunts, they like hype, they like danger, they like, the hype. And in Europe, they were so much more into character and play, and they just like rated that stuff really high. And so as a performer, you just really rose to that expectation or taste. And I loved that. And that, for me, that Europe was just such a brush of influence.
Yeah, to really develop like the character side of the
Yeah,
act.
yeah. And because I used to, at that point, I was doing a crate stack where I had milk crates, and would stack 8 on top of each other, and slowly, like through the act, end up standing on top of 8 crate, which is about like, I don't know, 10 feet tall.
Oh wow.
And so it was stupid. Like, it was really stupid. I don't know how. I still can't believe that I never fell, and that I'm still not, like, I'm on a wheelie chair, but I'm not like in a wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
And it was so sketchy. And then I had a volunteer throw knives up to me when I was standing up there, and I juggled knives or fire or whatever I could get away with in whatever
10
town.
feet on crates, like 10 feet up.
Yeah, and that's the base of the crate is,
not very big wide. Yeah.
The physics aren't in my favor. I had one woman come up in Brisbane when I was working, and on the edge of the street, and got a crowd. And the thing, obviously, with height, it's the same as you got a tall unicycle, or nowadays they use poles and they stand up really high, and obviously your crowd can get really, really big and deep, and they can see you from a long way away, and you make heaps of cash. woman came through, pushing through the crowd, smoking a cigarette and going, "What are you doing? What are you trying to kill yourself? I'm going to help you." And walking through the crowd, and then starts air kicking like the bottom of the milk crate stack. And it was, you're up there, you've got your crowd, you want to crowd, but you don't want to obviously end up in an ambulance.
Right.
And oh God, so you're very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But then going to Europe and then having that show, it got a great reaction. But then I remember a friend of mine, Dino, this Italian juggler, and he's like, "Joel, you've got this. Like you're so tall and skinny, and you've got to work on this stuff here. Whereas on the crates, you're like, you have to stand still, otherwise you fall, and so you're juggling and stuff here like this. And it's all, I learned a lot of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, kind of.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about just the amount of trust it would take to, I mean, obviously I would think about, your balance and all of that up there, sort of death defying, just dangerous, really exciting act. But I hadn't thought about the fact that there could be some messed up people in the crowd that could try to push you off that thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the intense thing about street performing, and the humbling thing is that you do deal with those people every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working in London on the street, and again, it was wild because it was just that vibrant, dense city of London. But then you'd get to the pitch, the area where you're going to perform, and there were often, junkies passed out on the pitch, and you'd have to kind of avoid their dog and kind of rustle them awake a little bit, and they're like, "Hey buddy, can you kind of roll that way a little bit?" And having that, and then you get to know all the drug dealers and the street kids, and with all the big dudes in London with the big Rastafari vibe, and kind of getting to that where you first turn up, and then you got to earn their respect, and you do a few good shows, and they're like, okay, he's cool, or with the local police in France. So it was a lot like that. Like they would run the local police would be, well, if you do a good show, and you get the nod, and you can stay, and which was kind of awesome too. Get rid of some shit acts.
Oh wow. So wow. Okay. So how did you get started? So I see here, like, you grew up on a dairy farm, and then how did you get started in like juggling, or was that the first thing you did towards like circus acts, or did you ever want to do anything else? Like, how did all this begin?
I started juggling, and it was on the farm, and not a lot to do. My nearest friend was 5 kilometers away, and it was pretty like, come on. I was like, man, those town kids, they have got the best life, where you just pop over to someone's house. But I think that isolation, made me practice maybe. But I learned to juggle at a school camp, and then I started doing little shows. I had a mother who was very encouraging, which doesn't bode well for me doing stand-up comedy. I was like, oh, my family life was so good, damn it. But she was very encouraging. So I was always doing little shows at kids' parties. I started doing kids' parties, and I started doing my first paid gig was walking on stilts at the local shopping centre at the age of 12 or something. And then I met a few key people. I had a few teachers who were really into performance, and they kind of guided me, and I met a couple of key people and started, it was a small, it started making connections, and things started to happen, and then street performing at 14, and just kind of kept going. But it was, and then going, this is just fun, and I'm making some money as well. And I was 15, 16 when I left school, and just went, I don't need to be at school, I make money, and school didn't really make much sense to me. A lot of sitting very still. and then when I was 18, 19, then I started the milk crate stack, and I was just making so much money. I was just like, oh, this is unbelievable. It's like, because this underground existence that people did it tax free, and just awesome. And then I went to Europe when I was 21, and that's when I saw that whole world of professional festivals and that, like, street theater, not just like busking. Like busking was always just like this, a bit kind of pew pew pew, a bit kind of cowboy, where it wasn't part of a structure or anything to a point. But then going to Europe and seeing professional street theater and professional, like, there was, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, this is like a path. This is like, you start busking, you get into professional festivals, and you get into theater work, and then you get into corporate events, and I was always interested in ensembles as well, but not particularly. So it just kind of naturally evolved. I was always like, this is just something I'm doing for fun and making a bit of cash, until I find my real thing.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen, because I have seen some busking, but I haven't seen any. The busking I've seen has just been, well, I shouldn't say just been, it has been musicians, I think.
Yeah, right.
I haven't really seen many
circle acts.
Yeah, you haven't.
Yeah,
and
because we
that
have
would
the
be
walk-bys, but then the circle acts are the ones that create that circle and create an actual crowd. And it's a whole culture.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And just to create that moment on the street, where you feel like, oh wow, you just create this whole theater vibe, or performance vibe out of nothing.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I always have to, I feel like I'm going to ask this earlier so I don't have to hold on to the question for later, because I always have to, I get to ask this, is just how has it,
we're divorced.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. No, like how has like being a circus performer and like being this amazing juggler, how has it impacted your like outlook on life, or helped you through anything difficult? This is the psychology part. No, this is just like this is the arts improve our lives portion of the show. So I'm just always curious for the certain kind of life skills or perspectives that we can gain from your knowledge here.
Well, good luck, everyone. Well, I think, juggling itself is good for me and good for one, but good for me in a sense of getting to a different part in your head, like, for that mental health sort of side of things, of being able to just focus on one thing and be extremely in the present moment, and how rewarding and important that stuff can be. I think that maybe the older that you get, the more value you put on that kind of thing. For me personally, I do anyway. I've always been I don't know, maybe a while ago now, got into wheelies, like doing wheelies on my push bike, and doing like coaster wheelies, where you got to use the back brake to, not fall all the way over, and just kind of balance on your back brake as you're, speeding down the street, and all those kinds of things. Like same with doing flying trapeze. I got really into flying trapeze, and just those things where it's like, if you're not completely focused on what you're doing, then you will drop it, or you will drop yourself. And I think there's something extremely valuable about just getting it, it's kind of getting out of your head, I suppose, and into your body.
Like
and failure,
sort of like, didn't want to cut you
well,
off.
yeah, no worries. But failure is just, that's where the good stuff is, where through failure you learn, and if you're not dropping enough, if you're not messing up enough, then you maybe got a little bit further that you can push yourself. Maybe.
Maybe.
And
Yeah.
also through performance, God, how many times do you have to
I know
fucking bomb
I'm
on
teasing
stage?
you when I say maybe. Yeah, exactly. It's like failure's inevitable.
Yeah,
It's just inevitable. And you think about a baby learning to walk, they don't just like get up and start walking the first time immediately. How many times they have to fall and get back up,
yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking
It's
about,
inevitable and obvious, isn't it?
but sometimes we need to hear the inevitable and obvious, because
Mm,
you can just say it in just a certain way. And just thinking about like the sort of hyper focus, but like relaxed focus of doing these high stakes, potentially very dangerous activities, but then how
yeah,
that helps you, it sounds like, get even more like centered and free in a way because you get so focused on
yeah. And
the moment.
it's a nice terminology. The relaxed focus, and in those moments of potential peril, that if you are like with the flying and stuff, if you're relaxed and you're in the flow, then things can go well. But if you're all tense and you're thinking about things too much and you're trying to work it too hard, then
Yeah.
you have more potential for injury.
Wow. Yeah, and I like
Flying.
I'm right back at you. I like the way that you said that, relaxed, focused, and moments of peril, potential peril, because I feel like that's so much. I don't know how it is right now in Australia, but I feel like that's so much
Jesus.
like a skill set that we very much need for dealing with the pandemic, of like a
Just,
relaxed focus, because got to stay vigilant.
oh
But
my
like you can't
goodness.
you can't do it like super uptight without just
Yeah,
making things
we
blow up and get worse.
for yourself, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh. Yeah, what an exercise in patience this whole thing is.
How have you like are there street performances happening, or like how have you
They've
like how
started
has this
that,
changed
like,
for
yeah, in Australia it's begun. Like we're we kind of as a friend of mine says, in Australia it's like we're sitting at the bar looking out the window and watching the world burn. Democracy's crumbling. It's just like Australia is this little bubble of doing pretty well. Um, and it's horrible to to see how devastating everything is and how out of control everything is in so many different parts of the world. Um, it's been weird for me because these little guys,
yeah.
my
If you
they
guys didn't
like
see, he brought up Chuka Chuks. If you're listening, this is an episode I would
they,
recommend going to YouTube to watch, though, because he's hilarious the way he uses
oh
expressions.
yeah, this
But
is
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. I
But
know
it's on
juggling
both,
on the
yeah.
radio. It's funny because so these are my little, you might be able to hear them. They're actually juggling balls if you're just in the audio sphere,
Yeah.
and they're shaker balls. And I juggle percussion, and it's a thing that I've been developing for 20 years. And then I've been selling these things, for making them and selling them for the last 7. And then just in the last year, through the pandemic, I've sold like more than I have for the last few years. And so that's been like a very amazing little twist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of that thing of people going, I'm at home, I'm, into learning stuff and wanting to do something that's going to take me to a different part of my head.
Yeah.
And so that's been incredible for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I'll definitely have you guys can find more information about Chuka Chuck so you can order some of your own too. So yeah.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, right. No pressure.
But come on!
So when you're, because I mean, I don't know how to juggle things. I juggle my schedule, but like I don't know how to juggle. I think I've tried poorly like once or twice in my life. I think I got like a set of juggling balls and I'm like, this would be cool. And I did not. I probably, if I had a class or something, would have helped, or maybe YouTube
Yeah,
tutorial, which wasn't
yeah.
around when I had tried. But like, what are some things to think of, or like, you don't really like look at one specifically? Like, are you looking at all of them or none of them, or
You
what's going
kind
on?
of, well, to start with, you're looking at the one and you're looking at it at the top of the pattern, and then you learn to very quickly work out where your hand is going to be in relation to that. But then it's all about the throw and it's not about the catch. you know, and it's really easy to focus too hard on catch, and then you do that thing where you're going, where you're throwing, and then you're catching it like this before it's time to actually catch it down the bottom. You go, oh my god, I'm gonna drop it. But like, if you're actually thinking more about your throw, less about your catch, which is a lovely philosophy as well. Think about where you're going.
I
The
know.
journey,
I
not the
love it.
destination.
Yeah, because it sounds like it's not even. It's just, yeah. It's like you're doing your action. You're putting your intention out there, and you're not like holding on to the outcome. You just like trust that you're catching it when you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, and how we do that, or how that ends up working out so often too, isn't it? Where you go, okay, I'm just going to concentrate on where I'm going, and then you get to and you go, oh, I had to go here so I could go there. You know, everything makes sense. Hopefully, in the end, if you keep going.
Right. Hopefully, in the end. Oh, you got two
Hopefully
giraffes
in the
on
end.
that mug. I just got distracted by the mug. I love mugs. Those are great. What do you got in there?
It's scotch. No, it's just tea. It's just very strong tea.
What kind of tea?
It's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's
9
right. Time
o'clock.
difference. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and
I'm so honored.
took a little bit.
I'm so honored. Woke up early on the weekend for
Yes.
this. Yeah. Oh
It's funny
man.
doing the maths. We're 19 hours ahead, and so I was almost set up yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, ready to go, and then I'm like, oh no, hang on, it's Sunday, so it's Sunday here now.
Happy Sunday to you. Happy tea
Thank you very
drinking
much.
Sunday to you.
And happy Saturday evening.
Thank you. It's 2:30 p.m. So I'm not quite 75 years old yet, or 95. It's not my evening.
You're not 75 yet?
Well, because you said happy evening. I'm like, well, it's 2:30 p.m. It's not quite bedtime. But I don't want to offend the 75-year-olds listening. That'd probably be more like a 105-year-old or something for 2:30 p.m. bedtime. Okay, I want to ask you also about, so yeah, I know we talked a little bit about the golden buzzer, just in as much as we mentioned that happened. Can you talk about your experience on it? And then also like how you created the dog, which is just so fun. I want everybody to watch the video. It was great.
He is a very odd. He's a kind of an example of that thing of concentrating on your throw, because that was just a little idea that ended up being a 20 years of work, which many things have happened. That was like just another side note. Here's Zinzani, when I was performing in a very small theatre in Edinburgh, and I walked out, and this guy came after me, and it was Scott Malcolm, who used to work as a producer for Zinzani, and said, "Hey man, you know, I work for, would you be interested in having a chat?" And it was such a small venue. It wasn't even really a venue that I was performing at in Edinburgh. It was very, very sideshow. And then from that little chance meeting, then there was like, I worked for Zinzani for 12 years, on and off. So that was incredible. But Erik, the dog, originally I was thinking a Joel doll. So it was going to be a little version of me, and it was going to be on the front of a car with his feet on the wheels and a rod up, you know, holding him from behind, and it'll be my nemesis that would come out on stage and undermine me. And then at that point, Mike Myers and, you know, Austin Powers and Mini Me, that then came out, and I was like, oh well, I can't do a Joel doll, I can't do a Mini Me. And I was like, I had all the technology, and I had he's based on a remote controlled car. And so I was like, okay, 4 wheels, 4 points, 4 legs. And I was thinking a giraffe or a camel for a while. And then it just kind of was like, okay, a dog. And then it was like, how am I going to animate it? And how am I going to get a stuffed toy and just gut it, and then build a frame and put the servo motors and everything inside that? And it's like, no, it had to be original. It couldn't be something off the shelf. And I was going, I just need to get these motors together and make an action to see what it looks like to start the ideas. Got a bit of stuff out of the recycling bin, which was a orange juice container and cut the bottom off that, turn it upside down, stuck on a motor. Okay, that looks interesting. Cut at the section of the middle of the orange juice container and jagged it so it's got like sharp teeth. Put that on, and I was like, oh, that's actually working quite well. And then spray painted it silver, and then all of a sudden it was a robot, metal robot, and he kind of just was born, and then went to Edinburgh with him, and then before Scott Malcolm, and then came back and did a festival in Australia with him. And all of a sudden he was just like, at first I had someone else operating him with a pre-recorded voice, and then eventually I was like, oh, they're not doing it well enough. And so then I took over and I do his voice live, and I operate him live. And then he got a TV show. We were on the ABC in Australia for 12 weeks. Oh, wow. 3 minutes once a week. It was like the dream gig, you know, a spot on a chat show. And so that was so long ago. And so Australia's Got Talent was the first time since then, really, which was about 15 years ago, that he actually had a moment on telly. And that Australia's Got Talent experience was so surreal, because it was so much fun. And it was, obviously they call you up, and they'd been contacting me for, you know, 4 or 5 series, as they desperately, you know, scroll through all of the variety acts and, you know, people that are interesting and willing to sell their souls, you know, for 4 minutes of potential disaster. And I said, okay, I'll do it, but I'm only going to do Erik the dog, and I want to be completely, like, I wasn't on camera at all. It was like all the backstage stuff, it was only Erik. So he was his like completely independent character, and it was so much fun. First, getting the golden buzzer was just incredible. Having Kelly Osbourne on the show as a judge was such a godsend. She and Erik had a, you know, love affair kind of sexual tension thing through every appearance. And she actually got on stage in his before the grand final maybe, and she said, oh, hang on, can we just stop? Erik, would you mind if I come up on stage? And Erik's like, yeah, Kelly, please come on stage. And so Kelly hops up on stage, and then she says, can you turn around, Erik? He goes, oh yeah, I'm going to turn around for you. I'd do anything for you. And he turns, and then she bent down and she cupped his balls in her hands. And Erik's got big shiny balls. And Erik went, whoa, and took off around the stage. And I was like, oh my God, this is YouTube.
Right.
Got like gold. But of course it didn't make the cut. You know, the executives went, whoa, all right, that's a bit too much.
Even for Australia?
Even for Australia. But, and that was the thing also, because in Australia it went so well. But then that particular series of Australia's Got Talent, they didn't put on YouTube. They didn't share on YouTube. And so all this stuff, you know, you're going, all this shit for free. Oh God, you know, it's such a lot of work. It's such a lot of work doing that show. And then I just didn't get any of the online traction that I was hoping for. And so it ended up being a really fun experience that went really well, but then nothing came out of it. So I got the bitter taste of the Got Talent experience that I'm sure a lot of people experience.
Oh wow. Well, because it probably gets your hopes up super high for what could happen, especially with the golden buzzer, and then also her doing that very, you know, totally Instagram or shareable kind of thing. Wow.
And and then and I was really going, don't be invested. I'm like, I'll just have fun with it. And I was just having fun with it. And then I got through to the grand final. And then in the end, everything was about Kelly Osbourne and Erik's relationship. And for the grand final, did a chain escape. like where he was strapped in chains
Uh-huh.
and like an escapology routine, and he had these dancing girls around him, and Erik was on strapped, and there was dynamite all around the base of the thing, and he's like, I'm going to escape from these chains, and these chains represent society's conditioning and control, and they don't respect our relationship, that a woman and an animal can have a loving relationship. I will break free and prove them wrong. Start the countdown. And the countdown started. And then he's, wriggling around to this music. And then he goes, oh, hang on. Wait, stop. I'm stuck. I can't get out. And then the countdown finishes and the dynamite explodes. And we had all these pyros. And then there was a fake trap door in the stage, and Erik disappears, the smoke clears, and there's nothing there. And then Erik appears at the back of the theater on a flying fox, and he goes, "I'm all right, I'm alive," and slides down and then gets stuck on the fly line above the judges, and he's going, I'm stuck, and then starts wetting himself.
Oh,
And
no.
so he starts pissing all over the judges from above, and the judges are getting up and going, oh my god, there's this ridiculous thing. And I had to build a whole new dog in order to do that stunt, to do that reveal, and then in the end I did get attached to getting through to the because there was the grand final, and then there's a live decider. You got grand final, that's the finish, the grand final.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Then the live decider was the last episode, and that was with Jack Black. Jack Black was going to be a guest judge on the live decider, and I'm like, oh my god, Erik the dog and Jack Black.
Seriously,
this is serious. Oh my god, I was like, yeah, this is made. Oh, this is meant to be. And then it didn't happen. I didn't get through to that last round. And it all just kind of.
I feel like he still needs a chance to meet Erik the dog, though.
Oh my god!
So Jack Black, if you're listening, which I know you are, probably not, but hey, you can surprise me. We can set up a Zoom meeting for you and Erik the dog.
Erik the dog and Jack Black.
Oh my goodness!
It was very funny.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay. So you were saying, you said something about like they sell your soul to the AGT or whatever it is. But I mean, I don't know enough about it to know if that was how much of a joke that was, or if you want to talk about it. And then the second thing was just about how you didn't want to be on camera. So why was that?
Maybe fear of failure. But then also for that thing for Erik, just having Erik the dog as a completely autonomous character, where he could be like not so there's a guy operating the dog, and so then the dog becomes a puppet, and which essentially that's what he is, but he just had his own status and his own life, and it was so much fun.
That's cool. No, I get it, because like, well, I mean, the clip that I saw, which of course I know isn't the whole experience that he had on the show, or that you had on the show, it was so great. And then I was like, when's Joel gonna come out and talk? But also, like, but then there was also a part of me I was like, oh, but it's also like super smart the way that you did it, where it's just he's his own thing. So
and it worked really well for him being his own thing. And then far out, you go, what are those moments of choice, and going, if I had have done that thing where there is then a reveal, and then I go, oh, and then it's like, oh, Joel actually has his own acts and stuff, and then then I did a couple of my acts as well, but but then again, it's that
you never know.
Australia's, and with acts, when you're like, if you're a singer or a comedian, you can come up with new material. It is possible. When you're a juggler, when you're a skill-based act, like a physical skill-based act, you put so many years into developing these physical skill routines to then go, okay, now I've done them on national television. You feel like you've got to get rid of them. That's the classic thing with the comedians, you know, you work on material, you work on, then you do your special, and then
yeah,
you throw it all away. And yeah, I just can't do that because my routines are my bread and butter.
and yeah, I see like all of the years it would take to be able to do it safely, right?
Mm, mm.
Too.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just developing a comedy juggling routine. My routines have just taken me so long. Whereas Eric's endless. Eric's just like, he talks and he does gags, and it's just like he can just like keep going with that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
America's got, and then America's Got Talent contacted me, and bloody Germany's Got Talent, and Italy's Got Talent, and you know, there's all these other talent shows
yeah,
going, you know, and then it's like, what's the point? What's the point? Like I couldn't work, and then in America too, it's like that would be a massive beast to undertake the America's Got Talent, you know, those producers and that whole culture of that show. But then if you do America's Got Talent, your intention, you got to be clear what your intention is when you do those shows. Is your intention to get a name for yourself, to sell CDs, you know, to sell music? Then that's a really logical path. And obviously, as performers, our intention would generally be to put bums on seats, you know, to sell
yeah,
tickets to shows, or get a spot on a TV show, that's what I wanted for Erik the dog.
yeah,
Um, but America's Got Talent, or Germany, or wherever, it's like, if I can't work in those countries, then there's no real point doing the shows.
yeah.
Um,
I was thinking like
because
unless if an America's Got Talent, if I mean you probably already thought of it, but like if you did something with your Chuka Chuks and then like people buy like
yeah,
a
then
ton
there's
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Then exactly, and then that's the other intention,
Right.
to
Yeah.
sell to move to sell a product, to draw attention to a product or an idea. But yeah,
Yes. I'm looking over here really quickly to make sure that I don't miss any of the other things for us before because we're kind of getting a little bit closer to time. Um
cool.
what well you were talking about the flying trapeze a bit and also your
Yeah,
laser act. Can you talk
sure.
about those?
Flying trapeze took me unexpectedly. I broke my shoulder the year before, and doing like on my bike, I wasn't doing the
Your
coaster wheelies.
wheelies? Oh,
I
you weren't.
was, but I was. It was 9.99 because I got a gig to MC at the Opera House in Sydney. The party that was New Year's Eve 99 to 2000. Remember how much hype there was around that New Year's Eve? And I was being paid more money than I'd ever been paid for a gig before. I was going to host the show. I was going to do my juggling acts, you know, in between bands, and people were paying $300 a ticket. That, you know, huge
Wow.
outdoor area of the Opera House, and I was freaking out. I was just like, I am not good enough. Are you serious? People are going to pay me that much to do my, oh, look at my juggling. It's like just totally lost all belief in myself. And I was on my bike, on my push bike, and I'd been at the producer's place, and I had the contract in my bag, and it was the 21st of December 1999, and I rode home, and I was going to send it from home. And I got home and I just went, nah, I got to keep riding. I got to do this circuit that I used to do that was like this whole road section, but it was downhill and windy. And I overtook a car coming down on the inside lane, and then hit a thing and fell off and skidded for 25 meters and broke my collarbone, my full shoulder blade,
Oh,
compressed my shoulder 3 centimeters, just full cheese grater down the side of my body,
oh,
just skidded for so long in t-shirt and shorts. Had a helmet, split the helmet across
oh,
my temple, hospital for 8 days. Ended up watching the New Year's Eve fireworks from my parents' farm back in WA. And I was there for 2 months, and they said, you can either get surgery where we open you up and pull everything back and pin it, or you can just lie still for 2 months. And so I just lay still for 2 months back on the dairy farm. Out of Sydney. I was living in Sydney, just trying to, do gigs and get corporate events and, get on telly and be someone and do something. And then it was just like, 2 months of just lying still. And then I went to a festival after that when I was just getting myself back together. And then I saw flying trapeze and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And by the end of that year, I was up on the flying trapeze and
wow,
and just kind of playing around. And then someone had a flying trapeze rig, outdoor flying trapeze in Byron Bay. I was living in Sydney, and I moved from Sydney up to Byron to do flying trapeze, which again is a bit like the most impractical, illogical choice ever. And career-wise, it was such a dumb decision. And it was just glorious. And it was like the weather in Byron is just so idyllic, and there's beaches, and it's just so beautiful. And flying trapeze outdoors is just the greatest thing. And you have to do it with a team. Like you need at least 3 people: the catcher, the flyer, and then the person on the platform to swing you the bar when you return. And so there was that ensemble feel. I always loved being part of a team.
Yeah.
And then because I was a solo performer for so many years, it was just something I was always drawn to. And then 6 months after doing flying trapeze, and teaching flying trapeze to people who'd never done it before, and just doing it for fun and getting fitter than I'd ever been before. Holy crap. Flying trapeze is just like insta-rip. It was just like, oh my God, I've never had this before. It was just like, oh my God, so intense. And then going 6 months after getting into that, Circus Oz, it's kind of the main contemporary circus in Australia. They've been around for 30 years. They're a fantastic company. And their creative director had been talking to me for the last 4 years or so. And I was living in Sydney and making corporate coin compared to doing an ensemble, which is really like not even what, I mean, it was like you don't even you get about a third of the fee for a whole week of shows compared to one corporate event, that whole balance thing. And so I joined Circus Oz, and they were doing flying trapeze for the first time in 10 years. And so then all of a sudden I was on stage performing trapeze, and we were cockatoos. We had like big sulfur crest, and we were white G-strings, and like there was this comedy routine that was just like like I said, the whole rig collapsed. There was a baby cockatoo that got it was just such a great chapter.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I still love flying, but it hurts more now. The older I get.
Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, like, it just really makes me miss being able to go out and see shows. I mean, we all miss things right now. We all miss things, but like there's just like the thing that I love about getting to see circus acts, which isn't something that I got to see live for most of my life, but when I finally got to see them, it's like this incredible sense of awe.
Yes.
Like it just fills you with the sense of awe, and then also it's just so astonishing what the human body is capable of too. And it's so different live than it is on TV. Like it's so different to be live. It's just so incredible.
Totally.
Yeah.
I miss it too.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Oh
Both
boy.
sides.
Well, we're pretty much. Oh wait, but I want to hear about your laser act. We're pretty much at time, but can you tell us about your laser act?
Okay. So I was working on this whole acoustic side of the juggling thing. That came second. The first thing was I was juggling to regular juggling to friends playing instruments and playing music, and just juggling to the music. And then we were pretty stoned, and we were just going like, oh my god, how can we make the music from the juggling? And we were sensors inside the balls, and then it was like, oh no, let's sensors on the hands, like when the ball hits your hand it triggers the sound. And then so I went down that path, and in the end I've got 3 triggers on each arm, 1 in the palm, 2 on the forearms. Not forearms, this part of it. Here, I don't have forearms, I've only got 2 arms. And then when the balls hit the triggers, they trigger a sound. And left hand, there's a beat. Right forearm, there's a bass line, and then there's a cut off. And there's layers, and then I sample the audience, and I put their voice onto a trigger. And so it's making music from juggling in that capacity. And then I did that for maybe 4 or 5 years. And that took so long before it was something, but then it got really solid. And I was doing a corporate event, and this laser guy came up and he went, man, I've always wanted to do MIDI triggered laser, which is the digital interface that communicates with the triggers. And we had a couple of sessions, and then we wrote laser animations for each trigger, each sound, so the animation was totally composed for each sound. And so then now the laser sits behind me and shoots through me, kind of thing, at the audience. And when I trigger the sound, it triggers a laser, and it just turned it into this like whoa kind of an act. Like it's so much fun to be on a stage and go and have it like super chilled and go, okay, so this is an invention of mine that I invented. It's a juggling activated music system. And when you touch the trigger with a ball, it goes like this. Whoa. So it's a really fun act that I've taken everywhere.
Oh, that sounds so awesome. I want to see you perform live again. Okay. So yeah. Well, okay. I know I keep saying it's time. So yeah, it's time. So I just want to thank you again for being on the show. And then I just asked for if you have any, last bits of advice, maybe the best advice you've ever gotten, or worst advice, and or same for you to give our listeners.
Do what you like and do what you're good at was something that this old circus dude, Reg Bolton, who's such a legend, used to say. Do what you like and do what you're good at. And I think that's always stuck with me, and I think that's a pretty healthy truth.
Nice. I like it. Don't overcomplicate it. Do what you like.
It's very simple.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you guys,
Thanks, Samantha.
Of course, absolutely. And you guys, please be sure to remember to check out Joel Salom at www.joelsalom.com and at chukachuks.com. Of course, it's going to be in the links. And then if you enjoy the podcast, as always, please like, share, subscribe. Those 5-star reviews you leave on Apple Podcasts, as well as comments, really help to get the word out. So I really appreciate that. And then if you do have some extra dollars to spare, or you want to support even more, you can go on over to Patreon with Beyond Technique Coaching with me, Samantha Rund, and just help support the podcast so it can help on bringing guests and production quality, all that good stuff. And then last but not least, if you're looking for a performance coach to help you use those skills in voice, body, and mind to bring more of your whole self to life and work, you can always reach me at beyondtechniquecoaching@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and stay safe and stay healthy.